Very good afternoon to all of you. On behalf of Auditing and Assurance Standard Board of Institute of Chartered Accountants of India, I welcome you all in 132nd CP program organized by AASB of ICI this council year. So today is the 132nd program organized by AASB of ICI for knowledge dissemination among all the members. So today's topic is very relevant. That is the audit trail, auditors' responsibilities related to the audit trail. As we all are aware, we have already conducted the procedural aspects of the audit trail. And now, today, the topic is different, where we all are supposed to know various responsibilities of the auditors relating to the audit trail. And in order to cater this very important topic, we are having with us very learned speaker, very respected CNL Kumar Gupta ji. So, on behalf of WSC of ICI, I extend my warm welcome to you, sir. Namaste, sir, and welcome to you on the behalf of WSP of ICI. Honorable Chairman and Vice Chairman, sir, both are stuck up in one of the meeting. So I take this liberty to start this session, sir.
Sure.
And before we formally start this session, I would like to share with all of you the brief profile of our learned speaker, C. Anil Gupta ji. Anil Gupta ji is a chartered accountant of 1984 batch. He has also qualified post CA course conducted by ICI, IFRS, as well as DISA course, International Financial Reporting Standard, as well as Diploma in System Audit. He is a central government nominee in the Central Council of the Institute of Company Secretaries of India. As far as his contribution to the profession, he has remained member of the various committees of Institute of Chartered Accountant of India, like Accounting Standard Board of ICI, Auditing and Assurance Standard Board, Public Finance and Government Accounting Committee of ICI, Committee of ICI on Companies Bill for recommendation to the Parliament, Study Group by ICI on preparation of guidance note on CSR, Study Group by ICI on preparation of guidance note on independent directors, Committee on Internal Audit and Internal Control of NIRC of ICI. He has also authored a book on practical issues on TDS. As far as his contribution towards the government departments, he is a visiting faculty at Income Tax Department, Ministry of Finance, Training Cell at RK Puram and Civic Center, New Delhi. He is a visiting faculty, Delhi VAT Department and Punjab VAT Department. He has taken training sessions and workshop at Service Tax Department. He has also taken the training session of 62nd and 63rd batch of IRS trainings. And during the year 2005-8, as well as 2008-9 and 11 and 12, was conferred with the award by NIRC of ICI for recognizing his contribution as a faculty in the various seminars and conferences organized by NIRC. He has delivered more than 300 lectures at various seminars, conferences, workshops, at various branches, CP study circles, at various forum of Institute of Chartered Accountant of India and Institute of Company Secretaries of India, and various CP study circles of the regional councils. He has delivered various seminars on various topics like Companies Act 2013, tax appeals, transfer pricing audit, VAT audit, accounting standards, auditing standard, TDS, and Tech 7, Indian economics and exclusive growth, emerging economies, economies of terrorism, stress management, and still I am having 3-4 pages to read his profile. So without wasting much more time, I request our learned speaker, C. Anil Kumar Gupta ji, to please enlighten all of us on various intricacies on this auditor's responsibilities relating to the audit trail. Over to you, sir, please.
Thank you, Mr. Anil Hilal. I am so thankful to you. Very good afternoon to all the friends, brothers and sisters who have joined today's this webinar, and it's very interesting topic that has been selected by the Auditing and Assurance Standard Board. I think, is it appearing good, the screen?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay, just allow me 1 minute. Okay, fine. That's going good. Right.
Fine, sir.
So, dear friends, first of all, I would like to place my thanks on record for Dr. Sanjeev Kumar Singhal, the Honorable Chairman of AASB of ICI, as well as CA Vishal Doshi ji, the Honorable Vice Chairman of AASB of ICI. I will remain indebted to ICI for providing the speaker such a great opportunity and honor for interacting with the fellow colleagues and the fellow professionals. So my good afternoon to all the friends, dear brothers, sisters who have joined this very important webinar of today's. You see, the topic is audit trail. So it's the very interesting part of this audit trail is that it's not a theoretical topic. It's absolutely a practical topic, and as we will cover, or as will we see the slides that I will be sharing with you, I think you will appreciate that how it's going to change the style and the work of the auditors as well as the reporting of the audit. So let's begin our journey. First of all, before I take you to the audit trail topic, these five terms, if we keep in mind throughout this presentation, I think it will be of great help to all of you. So these words are very common. You are well aware of it, but just to have a glimpse of how the world of audit moves. You see, first of all, let me give an example to make you understand the meaning of the word occurrence. Occurrence is a very simple English word, but the technical meaning is a little bit difficult. Oh, a very
Certainly.
welcome to Mr. Sanjeev Singhal also. He has joined, I think,
Thank you,
Chairman
thank
Saab,
you,
before
thank
I
you, Anil
proceed,
bhai.
because it's my first slide, so we would like to hear from you also. So please.
Thank you, Anil bhai. Thank you, and thanks to all the esteemed members. I got late. We had an event at COP28 on climate finance. I am representing Institute of Chartered Accountant of here in India, in Dubai at COP28. Our Honorable Prime Minister also arrived here yesterday evening, and we
Ah,
were all
that's
there.
right. Yes.
And today also we are looking forward. Today also we are looking forward to hear him. It is from 4:30 p.m. Dubai time, and probably the whole world is looking at what our Honorable Prime Minister has to say on the issues relating to the climate. In fact, this whole climate summit is there are 70,000 plus people here, and you have to walk maybe 10 kilometers a day to reach from one building to another building to the another building. So there are 88 buildings in which these events are happening, over 1,000 events per day.
Hmm.
So it's very interesting. India Pavilion is also very nicely designed for the day and the speaker. So the topic is audit trail, and the speaker is our very own Anil Gupta ji, whose passion for the profession. I know how hard it is for him to spare time, but he and his daughter Asta both, spare a lot of time for the cause of the profession. And the topic is such which not only serves the profession but also serves the nation. When we say audit trail, because it keeps a check on the probable practices which are not in the interest of good governance. So audit trail goes on in ensuring good governance. And last year we have come out with a comprehensive technical guide on audit trail, and this year we have received a number of questions. So we'll be taking up those questions in the form of FAQs. We have the next board meeting on 6th of December, and already 1800 plus members have joined, and this is our 132nd CP program for this CP unstructured CP program for this council year, and more than 78,000 members have benefited from these deliberations. So audit trail, I'm sure that we will adhere to it in our reporting as an auditor, or if you're a part of the management, then as someone who is responsible for implementing audit trail in its true letter and spirit. There are many questions which are arising, whether Excel is a part of manual or automated, whether this software is manual, that software is automated. There are so many things which are coming up, and I'm sure that many of these questions will get answered when Anil Gupta ji is making his deliberation, and the rest will be addressed in when the AASB is issuing the FAQs. So I'm sure the participants will be immensely benefited, and thank you so much to both the Anil Lalji for organizing this program, and Anil Gupta ji for sparing his time. Thank you, and over to
Thank
you,
you.
Anil.
Thank you, Sanjeev Singhal. Before you leave for the climate summit, I will like to place my appreciation for the efforts done by AASBU. All the viewers, the number that Mr. Sanjeev Singhal just gave, it's 132nd, 100 plus 32. These are the events and the seminars that have been held under his able chairmanship. So my congratulations to Honorable Sanjeev Sahab and to AASB and all the members of AASB. So looking forward to next 100 landmark. So my all the best to you, Mr. Sanjeev Singhal, and see you soon. So you can continue with your
Thank you so much.
meeting
Thank
the
you so
Prime
much.
Minister and carrying forward the agenda of Bharat. Okay. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, so let's begin our journey. And as Honorable Chairman laid the path for the how important this topic is, that the institute has already come with the implementation guide, and AASB, as Mr. Sanjeev Singhal ji just told you, that manual is being brought on the FAQs, which will be relevant for this audit trail. So let's begin our journey from the world of audit. You see, let me give you an example before taking you to the 5 terms that I want to discuss with you. Let's say there is a company and Mr. A is the employee of the company. The company is having its headquarters in Delhi. Mr. A has been assigned the job to start the sales of the company in Chennai, Tamil Nadu, right? So Mr. A has been requested to go to Chennai, explore the market, and come out with the fresh orders in favor of the company. So first of all, what Mr. A will do, he will prepare his various issues, how the pamphlets he will carry, then this promotional material, then what type of market those are the technical studies he will do with respect to the sales. Now come to the accounting part of it. Now accounting part is that Mr. A will go to the cash department. I'll tell them that I will be needing 50,000 rupees. These are the reasons. That can be 50,000, 1 lakh, an estimated amount. So he will give an quotation, or we will give an estimate of the expenses that he will be incurring in Tamil Nadu. So he will give a list of those expenses, and let's say that the total of that expense comes to 50,000 rupees. So 50,000 rupees he will take from the department, cash department. Now cash department will get the receipt signed from him, and the cash department will send the information to the accounts department. Accounts department will pass the voucher, and the voucher will be impressed of Mr. A debit and the cash credit. So that's the first accounting entry. Now what happens? Mr. A moves to Chennai. He moves to Chennai. He starts exploring the market. First of all, he will take a taxi from Delhi to airport. Then he will get down at Chennai airport. From there, he will take the taxi to the hotel. He will get himself checked in the hotel. Then he will start moving. He will be spending on promotional activity. He will be spending on the restaurants, meeting the people, and all other expenses. He will keep on noting those expenses. So let's say his journey was of 7 days, assumption's sake, and he has spent 48,000 rupees. He will come back to Delhi. Again, the same route he will follow: taxi, airplane, again taxi, again coming back. And he will submit this expense of 48,000 statement to the department. Now let's convert this example or this event to these 5 terms. First is occurrence. Now all these events are taking place. While these events are taking place, don't forget that accounts department is not there. When he went to Chennai, accounts department was not with him. When he made the spending, accounts department was not with him. When the accounts department was not there, even the auditor was not there. So occurrence is the first event that takes place in the world of audit. That event takes place, the transaction takes place, and no one is there, neither the accounts nor the auditor. What happened next? Now he will submit the sheet of his expense to the accounts department. they will check. What checkings they will carry? I will give you just 2-3 examples. I'm not carrying you to the, this is not an audit of travel expense, right? So we are not, I am not taking you to the how to do the travel expense audit. So what will happen? They will check whether the hotel expenses he has made, whether those were within the permissible limit or not, the taxi charges he has taken, the restaurants he has visited. So there are permissible limits that have been predefined by the accounts department with respect to the lodging, boarding, traveling. So the accounts people will check whether the expense incurred by Mr. A fall within those norms or not. So that is called measurement. Let's assume that there was total expense was 48,000 and the hotel expense was, let's assume 40,000. So 48,000 is the, I am also noting, you can also note, that will make the things easier for us. So 48,000 is the travel expense. Out of it, 40,000 is the hotel expense. Now, while checking the hotel bills, the accounts department find that he has spent 4,000 more than the permissible limit. So 40,000 will get reduced to 36,000 and 48,000 will get reduced to 44,000. So now accounting will take place with respect to the amount of 44,000. So that is called measurement, that you measure the transaction. Measure the transaction with respect to the accounting. What happens next? Recording. So accounting entries will be passed. Debit, credit, all this will take place, taking care of the suitable narration. What next? Now, when the balance sheets will be, the financial statements will be finalized. So this proper disclosures will be made. And the information for the disclosures will be from the recording. The recording which has been done in the computers based on the events that has taken place, the event that has occurred, based on the measurement of that event, the recording of the accounting entries was passed, and all this how to be disclosed in the financial statement. That's how the disclosure part comes into picture. So these are the 4 events. Now comes our world, the audit reporting. So we will see whether now you can say whether the travel expense, those were genuine or not, justifiable or not, and blah blah blah. All the issues will be discussed by the auditor, which perhaps all of you must be discussing. And then if you find anything not suitable, you will report it. So this is the world before we enter the world of audit trail. These 5 terms must be clear with you: occurrence, measurement, recording of the transaction, proper disclosure in the financial statements, and the reporting by all of you. Now let's start the journey of audit trail. What does audit trail mean? So just a minute, let me. Okay. Good. Audit trail, also called audit log. So trail and log is one and the same thing. I will come to it. Is a security relevant chronological record. Record of set of records, destination, source of records that provide documentary evidence of the sequence of activities that have affected at any time a specific operation, procedure, event, or device. Now you put these lines on the 5 terms that I gave to you. What is this sequence of activities? What are the terms that term I have used? Event, it's the same, occurrence. Now all the recording of these occurrence and the set of records. So those set of record is called audit trail. The voucher that you have passed, that goes into the log book of the software. So if you want to see at a glance how many vouchers general vouchers were passed today, how many cash vouchers, how many bank vouchers, so you will get a log of it. So this is called basically audit log, and set of logs is called audit trail. I will come to it. An audit trail is defined as a step-by-step sequential record which provides evidence of the documented history of financial transaction to its sources. So financial transaction, I have just explained you. That travel expense, that the overall docket of the travel expense that will comprise of the financial transaction. It is a detailed chronological record where accounting, financial data, and other details are tracked and traced. See, unless and until you are having the audit trail, you cannot see the records. It's not merely the saving of the records. It's the number of the JV. What is the serial number? The date. Whether any modifications have been done or not. Initially, a voucher was passed. A later stage, maybe out of mistake, maybe out of error, maybe out of manipulation, maybe out of a conscious mistake, maybe out of malpractice, amendment or modification has been done in a voucher. Whether you are able to track the modifications or not, the voucher has been deleted. Whether you are able to track or not, that is where the audit trail comes to your help. An auditor can trace the financial data of a particular transaction right from the general ledger to its source document with the help of the audit trail. So now key takeaways of this audit trail is a sequential record detailing the history. That's the first part of it. So you get the history of the transaction. Maintaining an audit trail is often a regulatory requirement. Now, this is very interesting. Prior to the notification that we'll be discussing, audit trail was just a practice. It was a convention. But it has been now given the regulatory teeth with the amendments in the Act and with the notification from 1st of April 2023, every software must have audit trail. So now it's a regulation. And the regulation is there to inculcate the best accounting practices. Audit trails provide evidence information, not merely to the auditors. Please mind it. Because you see in the term audit trail that there is a word audit. So it gives a reflection that the audit trail is only for the auditor. It's not so. Of course, it is for auditor, but it's not merely for auditor. It's for the regulators, it's for the departments, it's for the bankers, it's for the stakeholders. So audit trail is going to help all the stakeholders who comes in interaction with the company. So that's why this line is very important. Audit trails provide evidence and information for regulators in cases of suspected fraud or illegal financial activity. These two terms, the suspected fraud and the illegal financial activity, it applies more to the investigators and to the regulators, less to the auditors. Auditors' role are confined to true and fair, but it goes beyond this when we come to suspected fraud and the illegal financial activities. Of course, the investigation part that the chartered accountants handle, that falls within this third line. The use of audit trails help to stabilize the overall economy by confirming the informations. You see, if the audit trail are robust, the statistics and the data that will be generated from the records and that will be generated from the accounting world, that will help in providing good information with respect to the economy to the world at large. So audit trail doesn't merely help auditor, it helps regulators, it helps the compilers of the data being extracted from the accounting records. So it helps the public at large also. Regulatory institution will use audit trails for the explicit reconstruction of trades when they are questioned as to the various accuracy of trade data. Okay. Now let's come to the two terms, audit log and audit trail. A series of, just a minute. Oh, good. Nice. A series of audit logs is called an audit trail because it shows a sequential record of all the activity on a specific system. So audit log can be of a particular transaction. As we, you see, let's take the same case of traveling expense again. So when he will submit the traveling expense with the various sports and the various reports that he has prepared and the justifying the traveling expenses, so there will be a bunch of papers. So those bunch of paper in the normal physical documents is called docket. So with respect to the informations that is being fed in the uh, software, accounting software, so each and every transaction is called audit log. So when there are series of audit logs, then those series of audit logs altogether is called audit trail. So by reviewing the audit log, system administrators can track the user activity, which is very important. We will come to it, that what is user and what exactly we mean by user activity. An audit trail is a recording of all the user actions. A log is a recording of what happens on a system. You see, what you see on the front of the computer, what you see at the back end, there is lot of difference. Till date, most of us, not I am saying all of us, most of us were confining to the what we are seeing at the front of the computer, at the front end, on the screen. But what's happening on the back end, very few of us have indulged or have treated into that path. Now onwards, you will be required to audit what is appearing in front of you, as well as what is happening behind the screen in the database, in the log or the register of the vouchers that have been added, modified, deleted, the user IDs maintained, the user IDs changed, who was the user who has done the additions, who was the user who has carried the modifications, who has been authorized. All the records of all these things which are happening behind have to be maintained, and this is called the audit log and the audit trail. Transaction log captures all changes of data caused by end users, rules, or processes. I have just discussed with you. Audit log captures changes to metadata, security, local information, other system activity. You see all the terms they have used: the security, the logon, the metadata. All these are already they were being recorded, but now it has been made mandatory. How? We will come to it. Whereas regular system logs are designed to help developers troubleshoot errors, audit logs help organizations document a historical record. So basically, it's the history which is maintained in the records and in the logs. Edit log is a view-only report. So there are three terms: audit log, audit trail, edit log. So audit log is basically a report. All these are basically part of audit trail. There is no doubt about it. But just to distinguish it so that we can give different name to the different terms and different type of actions, that why these three terms have been coined. So edit log is a view-only display report that maintains track of all the activities with your vouchers and masters, like creation, alteration, deletion, as I discussed with you. It must be creating an edit log of each change made. So that's why it's called edit. Edit means to change. So whatever changes are made, to keep a record of log of those changes is called edit log. So impact is tracking of backdate entries. And this is very important audit tool. Don't forget it. Whether if suppose there is a company, you will have to see glance the whole log. How many back entries you have found? And how will you come to know whether back entry is there or not? That's a very pertinent question. I agree with it. You see, how will you come to know backdate? So what happens when you generally I'm saying I'm not aware of each and every software that is being used, but the software that I have seen, the feature that I'm going to discuss, that is there in the software that I have seen, and generally it is there in most of the softwares what I am going to discuss with you. You see, when you enter the report of the audit log, you will find a very interesting report there. There will be 4 columns: date of original voucher and the amount of original voucher, date of modification and the amount modified. So both of will be in front of you. You will be able to know what modifications have been carried and the amount that has been modified, what was the pre-amount and what is the post-amount. Similarly, with respect to deletion also, what happens after deletion? You don't find the voucher. You don't see it on the front of the screen. But now you will be required to go behind. And once you reach the database that is working and processing behind the screen, you will get a report that this was the date of original voucher, this was the amount of the original voucher, and it was deleted on such and such date, and now the amount is 0. So you will get a register of it, a log of it. Now, if suppose there are 5,000 transactions of a particular period that you are auditing, let's say you are auditing a quarter, 3 months. Once you are auditing a quarter and there were 5,000 vouchers, now out of those 5,000 in a particular entity, you found that there were 400 backdate entries or backdate deletions or backdate modifications. You will understand the compliance culture, the discipline culture of that company. Higher the number of backdate entries, higher the red flags. Lower the number of backdate entries, lower the red flags. That's a very simple rule. Okay. Cash balance changes, same thing. Stock valuation changes, same thing. Adjustment in books or entries, same. All this falls within the tracking of backdate entries, and this is how the backdate entries are done. These are just very few examples used by other enforcement agencies. That also you will come to know whether any enforcement agency has entered the log or not. So the number of examples can be added to it. Now, summary is audit log. What is audit log? Is a set of records. What is audit trail? It's a series of audit log. What is edit log? Edit log is the view on the report of the changes that have been made, whether modification or deletions. So that's what the world of audit log was. Let's move ahead. Now let's come to the regulatory part of it. Rule 3.1 of the Companies Account Rules 2014, manner of books of accounts to be kept in electronic mode. The books of account and other relevant books and papers maintained in electronic mode shall remain accessible in India, number 1, at all times, number 2, so as to be usable for subsequent reference, number 3. So three things have to be taken care of, provided that the financial year commencing on or after the 1st day of April 2023, from which date? This is the sacrosanct date, the 1st day of April 2023, from where the audit trail has become mandatory. So, keeping that in mind, then we will read this line. Provided this proviso, provided that the financial year commencing on or after the 1st day of April 2023, every company which used accounting software for maintaining its books of account shall use only such accounting software which has a feature of recording audit trail. That's the first part. And every transaction creating an edit log. See, now you see, once we have become conversant with the audit terms, now we can understand this notification very well. So feature of recording audit trail is compulsory. Then transaction created edit log is compulsory of each change made in books of account along with the date when such change was made. That date of change is very mandatory, and ensuring that the audit trail cannot be disabled. This last line is very important. So while beginning an audit, you have to see the parameters that have been defined to control and supervise the audit trail. Enabling, disabling. Who is having the power? You see, the beauty of the software is that whatever is there can be changed. Anyone can temper it. So it depends on the management that what type of software they have purchased. So you have to take the written representation. I will come to it at the end of my presentation, that what type of written representation you should take from the management. But the audit trail should be such which cannot be disabled. This is the most important part of this notification. Okay. So these are the dates. We are well now. I have already explained you. Audit trail notification. You see, this is when this notification came. These requirements, I'm reading the the last 2 lines. These requirement for companies was initially made applicable for financial commencing on April 2021. However, its application has been deferred 2 times, and this requirement is finally applicable from 1st April 2023. What it says, whether the company in respect to financial commencing on or after 1st April has used such accounting software for maintaining its books of account, which has a feature of recording audit trail, already explained, and the same has been operated throughout the year. You see, try to catch each and every word of this notification. Then you will be able to carry your audit in a more fruitful manner. And the audit trail feature has not been tampered with. As I said, that the changes in the audit trail feature are disabled. No one can do it. And the audit trail has been preserved by the company as per the statutory requirements. What is preservation? I have a separate slide for it. We will come to it. So these are the various features that are applicable with respect to the audit trail. And this is now a part of statute. This already we have covered. Purpose of this. Now let's come to the implementation guide, which Honorable Chairman was discussing. Basically, the implementation guide has covered 3 basic points. Number one, the guide is there to enable the auditors to comply with the reporting requirements. So it's very helpful in that manner. Then principle-based guidance, how you will carry the reporting, in what type of situation, what reporting should be done. I have a separate slide for it. I will come to the reporting part of it. Then the professional judgment. You see, the world of auditor is very interesting. The auditor world depends immensely on the judgment. It's not merely that what is appearing before you, you read it as it is. It's not English. It's a part of interpretation. It's a judgment. What your experience says. The experience, those are new, they are also experienced in the manner that they have during the studies and during the 3-year training period. That's why I say that training period is very important. Only this professional judgment term can be understood only by those who have done well in their training period. Those who have done the training only merely for formality's sake, they will find this professional judgment to apply it. It will be difficult for them. Implication guide has been developed to provide detailed guidance for the auditors to enable the compliance. Okay, few questions. What is the difference between the 2 accounting years? I think because 22-23 is already crossed. So this question is not that relevant because the 2 lines were to be mentioned while reporting for the 22-23. But 23-24, we are discussing what we need to do with respect to this particular financial year. Then whether appropriateness of audit trail needs to be assessed retrospectively. You see, I will say the answer to it is no, you need not. But if you find lot many mistakes and a lot many modifications or deletions are carried by the management, then as I said earlier also, I am just repeating it, then there is a red flag. And once there is a red flag, then to substantiate your judgment or your observation that there is a red flag, you can peep in the previous records also. And there also you will find the audit logs. Let me be frank with you. Those records, those audit logs are not authenticated because maybe they have not enabled the feature that no one can tamper with it. It depends what type of system parameters they have defined in the earlier years, in the retrospective previous years. But still, what is the culture of the company that you will get reflection from the previous years also. So you can go to the audit trail of the previous years. But if you ask me the answer to this question, then I will say that it is not desired. It's just helpful. Accounting software, one for books of accounts and other for financial statements. Yes, that's a relevant question. We will come to it. If there are different set of software, then what should we do? I think the answer is very clear. I will come to it in the other my coming slides also. But just because the question has just come, so I will answer it here also. That if the books of accounts and financial statements are having different, let's see, there may be different software for HR. There may be a different software for stocks. Then all of those must be having audit trail. There cannot be that only this audit trail is applicable only to the financial books. It's not so. Risk assessment in IT environment, we will come to it. ICOFR, we will come to it. Whether it is applicable to consolidation or not, we will come to it. What are the challenges? The process that creates an audit trail is typically required to always run in a privileged mode so it can assess and supervise all actions from all users. So that is the first part. Now you see, while carrying the audit, before beginning the audit, you have to see whether all which we are discussing today in this presentation, whether those features are there or not in the software that is being used by the company. A normal user should not be allowed to stop or change it. The trail file should not be accessible to normal users. The process that creates an audit trail is required to always run and should not be stopped by anyone at its discretion. We have discussed all this. The major challenge of audit trail logging is knowing or identifying what to audit. Organizations end up collecting audit trail logs that document particular activities. So you have to see your what type of audit trails and audit logs you need to audit or you need to verify. So very frankly speaking, it will help you in finding which are the type of what are the type of vouchers that they have tampered with or that they have deleted or modified. So you will get a reflection of the company's um, uh, disciplined culture, and then it will help you in making a judgment of the uh, financial statements of the company. You will be able to give a better version of the true and fairness of the financial statements. Organizations may want to retain the logs for a shorter period of time to reduce the storage cost. So this is a challenge and you should not allow it. Now an amendment has been made in the act that the logs have to be maintained for the 8 years itself. I will come to it. Management responsibility. Only such, I'm reading the bold part, only such accounting software which creates an audit log along with the date cannot be disabled. The management has a responsibility for effective implementation, record an audit trail of every transaction, ensuring that audit trail is not disabled. I have discussed all this. This is all the responsibility of the management. Selection of the appropriate accounting software, of course, whether it covers the various requirements of the law or not. It should be noted that accounting software may be hosted and maintained in India or outside India. So you have to see. They are absolutely allowed. There's no issue with respect to where it is being maintained. Rule 11G, cost responsive. Now let's come to the auditor, our responsibilities. So whatever we have discussed till now, it was all the responsibility of the management and the explanation of the requirements of the audit trail. Okay, what is the responsibility of the auditor? Rule 11G casts responsible auditors in terms of reporting on audit, report on other legal and regulatory requirements. In addition to requiring auditor to comment on whether the company is using an accounting software which has a feature of recording audit trail, the auditor is expected to verify the following aspects. What are those aspects which an auditor is required to verify? The audit trail feature is configurable. It can be disabled or tampered with. You see, you may find it that there is repetition, but it's not so. What is the duty of the management? What is the duty of the auditor? So naturally, whatever is the duty of the management, auditor has to see whether the management has fulfilled those duties or not. So there will be some repetition. There is no doubt about it. But it's now you have to see it from your point of view. Previous to this slide, we were seeing it from the point of view of the management. Now we are seeing it from the point of view of our audit, our report that we have to make. So that's the first part. Second is audit trail feature was enabled and operated throughout the year. All transaction recording software are covered in the audit trail feature. You have to see, you have to check whether it is so or not. You may have to take the help of the software developer. You may have to speak to the IT head of the company. You may have to speak to the director and the managing director of the company. It depends. What is your query? You must get a satisfactory answer to it. And this is my request to you that in your audit records, whatever discussions you are carrying with the management with respect to the software, you must keep a record of those the conversation that you had with the management. You can carry them. You can keep the mails with you. You can keep the report that you might have submitted. All these can be your audit records. It has been preserved as per set requirement. I have already told you. Additional responsibility and the software which are maintained by the company will fall under the definition of books of accounts. Very much clear. HR, stocks, sales bills, purchase bills, what do you call it? Transfer notes or the requisition slips, all these fall within the audit trail requirement because they are the part of the books of accounts. If sales are recorded in this, you see, the answer is already there. If sales are recorded in a separate software only consolidated, it is recorded monthly into the main account only used to maintain the general ledger. The sales software should also have the audit trail feature since sales invoices would be covered under books of account. Creation of a user in the accounting software may be construed as a transaction in the software. Applicability. Considering the applicability date of the amended audit rules, it implies that auditor is not required to assess appropriateness of audit trail for previous years. I discussed with you. And assessment will be only, that is what the very simple answer. But yes, of course, it will depend. As I told you, if the red flags are on a higher side, you can go if you want to the previous years also. There is likely to be a scenario for the financial year by 22-23 where act was prescribed but rules are applicable for 23-23, and hence in absence of compliance auditors would not be able to report on the audit. This is the report that we needed to give while finalizing or while preparing the report for the year ended March 23, which has already ended. So we have already submitted the reports. So this is not of much relevance today. But yes, 2 months back, this paragraph was very much relevant. It is applicable to consolidated financial statements. This was the question. So answer is there. Applicable to Section 8 companies. This was the question. Answer is there. It is applicable to foreign companies. So CFS, Section 8, foreign company, to all audit trail is applicable. And for how many years? 8 years. Right? Where we have got this referral implementation guide, page number 17, para number 9. Audit approach. Now, how to approach the audit trail? Identify the records and transactions that constitute books of account. That's the first part of it. Excuse me. Okay. Identify the software. IT environment, including applications, web portals that are being used, what are the databases, interfaces, data warehouses, cloud infrastructure, or any other IT component used for processing or for storing the data for creation and maintenance of books of account. So with respect to the creation and maintenance of books of accounts, whatever type of the technology of the IT world is being used, you need to list it down. That is what is called, in a broader sense, the identifying the software. To ensure such software have the audit trail feature. So that's there, already we have discussed. To ensure that the audit trail feature is always enabled and never disabled, already discussed. To ensure that the audit trail is appropriately protected. So what are the security measures that the management has taken? So you need to have the IT policy of the management. That's a very important part of it. If the management's IT policy is not there, request them to prepare the audit IT policy, because that will be the commitment of the management that will help you in explaining to the authorities whenever in future any question is asked to you. That will come to your rescue and help. To ensure that controls over maintenance and monitoring of audit trails are designed and operating effectively throughout. Again and again, it is said that all the 12 months, 365 days, 24/7, maintenance and monitoring of the audit trail is mandatory. In order to demonstrate that the audit trail feature was functional, operated was not disabled, a company would have to design and implement the specific internal controls, predominantly IT controls. You see how our world is expanding. We were aware of the internal controls with respect to purchase, with respect to sale, with respect to banks, funds, HR, stocks, and whatnot, the debtors, creditors, expenses, revenues. But now the IT control is also part of internal control. So keep it in mind, my dear. Controls to ensure that the audit trail feature has not been, again, it's the same thing. Controls to, yes, this is very important, the B part. Controls to ensure that user IDs are assigned to each individual and the user IDs are not shared. Now, this is very important. And you can track the audit trail only through the user ID reports, user ID wise report. Each and every user ID is having its own audit log. And the total of all the user IDs logs is called audit trail. Fine. Make sure that changes to the configuration of the audit trail are authorized and logs of such changes are maintained and reviewed. One thing can be done that you can just to check whether whatever I have discussed, it is being followed or not. You ask the management to change the user ID. Let's say your user ID is great, only for a sample sake, a mock, right? So once user ID is changed and your ID is being made, then you can check the audit log. Whether addition of your user ID has been recorded in the audit log or not. That will give you a trust factor will increase. Then you can modify it, change your name. Then you see whether those changes are there recorded in the audit log or not. Then delete it. Then you see. So all these actions will help you in building your confidence in the audit log of the company. Okay. Controls to ensure that access to the audit trail and backups is disabled or restricted, and access logs whenever the audit trails have been assessed are also maintained. So this is also very important part of it. And the example that I gave, you can apply to all these ABCD, and you can make your own examples also. To ensure that periodic backups of the audit trails are taken, which we are very well aware of, and we do it. In respect of identification of relevant transaction in context of maintenance of books of account, assess management identification records and transactions where auditor needs to be captured, the one and the same thing. Evaluate the management's approach regarding identification of accounting software, very nice. Inquire on how they evaluated that changes that are required for the maintenance of audit trail. So what is, you see the IT policy comes here to your help and your rescue. If it is not there in the accounting policy, don't worry. Take an undertaking from the management. That will help you. Consider involvement of specialist experts. So we will be needing it. I am quite sure that IT world is itself a very independent and very robust world. So we'll be needing the help of the experts, but those experts cannot be the third experts. See, maybe they are there in the company itself. After all, somewhere someone must have got a training in the software. So he's also an expert. You have to ask questions to him. And I just, as I just a few slides back, I requested you that those who have developed the software, you can speak to them. In case of accounting software supported by service providers, the company and the auditor may consider using independent auditor support of service organization. Now, this is very interesting and important part. You see, the service organization's auditor, what they have mentioned about the audit trail and the audit log of that company. That's going to be of immense help to you, maybe after a year. Or if you want it in the beginning, then you can write a direct letter to the auditor of that company also. Most of the commonly used accounting software have an audit trail feature that can be enabled. Right. The company may have put in place certain controls, such as restricting access to the administrator, monitoring changes. That's very normal part of it. Auditor should evaluate management's policies in this regard. I have already explained to you. The company should ensure that administrative access to the audit trail is restricted to authorized representatives only, which will be predefined, and you will get. You see, if you want to understand this, let me give you a very simple example that you are carrying for last so many years. When you start the audit, you ask 2-3 things. Sir, how many bank accounts are there? Give us the list of the bank accounts. Sir, what is your GST number? What is your TDS number? Just make us sail through the traces site. These are the basic questions that you ask. Now, in the list of questions that you ask, you have to add this question: the administrative access to the audit trail. Who are the authorized representatives? This is the only question that you need to ask. It will help you in getting a glimpse of what's happening in the IT world of that company. The software configuration that controls enabling or disabling of the audit trail, and whether audit trail was enabled throughout the period, we have discussed it. This is discussed. Any change in the audit during the period of audit, this is also we have discussed. The periodic review mechanism implemented and operated by, this is also very important, the periodic review mechanism. So we have to take care of whether management is having some mechanism for periodic review, right? Okay. The completeness and accuracy of audit trail audit logs that are generated through the software functionalities or direct recorded in the underlying database, whether it captures the user ID, we have already discussed it. As I said, that you can make your own user ID, you can use and play with the configurations. Whether company has performed assess the completeness and accuracy of the audit trail, you can get it checked, you can get it done. In respect of audit trail, following are likely to be expected scenarios. Management may maintain adequate audit trail as required by the account tools. That's first part. Management may not have identified all records. First part is there, your life is easy. If second part is there, definitely your life will become interesting. In part A, it's easy life. In part B, it's interesting life. The accounting software does not have the feature to maintain audit trail that will make me entertaining life. So first is the easy life, second is the interesting life, and third, when there is nothing, then it's an entertaining life. So scenarios 2 and 3 mentioned above would result in a modified or adverse report against this clause, right? So because we have discussed the modification, so let's go to the reporting part of it. This is a normal report. Based on our examination, which include test check, the company has used an accounting software maintaining this books of account, which has a feature of recording audit trail facility, and the same has operated throughout the year for all relevant transactions recorded in the softwares. Further, during the course of our audit, we did not come across any instance of audit trail feature being tampered with. Now, to give this report, you will have to have a backup on the same lines from the management in the MRL. Take it from them. Illustrative reporting in case of consolidated financial statement, unfortified report. So, with respect to subsidiary, associate, joint venture, joint operations, this report can be given. Let me read it for you. Based on our examination, which included test checks and that performed is the same language which we use for standalone, by the respective auditors of the subsidiary, associate, joint venture, joint operations, which are companies incorporated in India, whose financial statements have been audited in the Act. The company, subsidiary, associate, joint venture, joint venture have used an accounting software for maintaining its books of account. This particular report will give only when the same has been mentioned by the auditors of the subsidiaries, associates, and joint ventures. Because you can report with respect to the audit trail of those companies which are being consolidated only when their auditors have given this report. Modified reporting, except for the instances mentioned below, the rest all is good. Now, which are those instances? We will come to it. I have prepared a separate table for it. So if we come across any such instances, then we report as below. Instances of audit trail feature being tampered with, instances of non-preservation of the audit trail, edit and note function throughout the year. All this needs modification in the report. So this is what the modified report is. Let's begin the modified report. Audit trail feature was disabled. Based on what will our report? This is just illustrated. I'm not saying to use this language as it is, no, not at all. It's just an illustrated. Based on our examination, the company has used accounting software for maintaining its books of account, which has feature of recording audit trail facility, except in respect of maintenance of fixed asset records, wherein the accounting software did not have the audit trail feature enabled throughout the year. Further, the audit trail facility has been operating throughout the year for all irrelevant transactions according to software, except for the instances reported above. Further, during the course of our audit, we did not come across any instance of audit trail feature being tampered with. So, this is an exceptional report. When the audit trail feature was disabled with respect to a particular, you can modify it as per the audit observation and the requirement of the audit observations. Second instance, audit trail feature is not operating effectively during the reporting period, except that the audit trail feature of PQR software used by the company to maintain payroll records did not operate throughout the year. Previous were the fixed assets. Now it's the payroll records. Except that no audit trail enabled at the database level for accounting software, AAA, database SQL, BBB database, DB2 to log any direct data changes. It's a very technical type. But on these lines, your reports can be modified. When the accounting software is maintained by third party and the auditor is unable to assess whether audit trail feature can be disabled. You see, first let's read what's the problem. What's the issue? What's the observation? The left part of it, the down I am reading. Accounting software is the left part of it, okay? The accounting software is maintained by third party and auditor is unable to assess whether audit trail feature can be disabled during the reporting period. Based on our examination, the company has used an accounting software ABC, which is reported by a third party, which is operated by a third party software service provider for maintaining its books of account. And in absence of, state the type of control report. What you're not getting, because you have to specify. We are unable to comment whether audit trail feature of the said software was enabled and operated throughout the year for all relevant transactions recorded in the software, and whether there were any instances of the audit trail feature being tampered with. Very nice. The audit trail has not been preserved. The audit trail has not been preserved by the company as per the statutory requirements for record retention. Exceptional report. There is very interesting note and very obvious. This illustration is relevant from second year. Naturally, because for 23-24, there is no requirement of preserving. It will begin after this year, because these years record 23-24 financial year, which is the ongoing year. When it will finish, we will finish the audit. Then these will be preserved. That will be the first year of preserve. Okay. Migration from one software. This is also a very interesting example. During the year, you have migrated. The company has migrated to this software from this software during the year and is in the process of establishing necessary controls and documentations regarding audit trail. Consequently, we are unable to comment on audit trail feature of the said software. If it is in the process, you see, it's such an interesting report. See, all these examples and illustrations, this will help you in understanding ultimately what you need to do about audit trail. It's not because from our report, our duty is audit documentation. That's first part of it. And second is the audit report. Okay. In case of fraud, all these will be applicable and audit report trails should be retrievable. It will, so audit trail means the feature of the software which helps the auditor, the investigators, the regulators to understand the history of the transactions. In evaluating the severity of the deficiency for such instances, specifically in cases of fraud, the auditor should primarily consider two factors. Okay, in respect to frauds, it's not applicable to all the auditors, it's applicable to the investigators. The likelihood that a deficiency will result in a material misstatement, number one, and the magnitude of such an outcome. It depends on the circumstance. ICOFR, which is where it is not applicable. You see, very frankly speaking, ICOFR we have discussed number of times at other places. So it has not got direct relation with the audit report, but some part of it is applicable. I am coming to it. It is not applicable to one-person company, small company, which has turnover. All the features we are well aware of it. They are in the vogue since 15 and 17 years. Paragraph 52, this is important. Paragraph 52 of the guidance note and ICOFR uses expression audit trail to describe the control activities in relation to the policies and procedures related to the information processing system that may be relevant to an audit. Because ICOFR deals with the financial reporting, so we have to see it from that point of view. Accordingly, where the feature of audit trail has not operated, this we have discussed very well. In case where ICOFR report is applicable modified due to inability of management to rely on the automatic controls, below is some sample modification wordings. Again, it's an illustration. The company has used an accounting software for maintaining its books of account. However, for the reasons stated in ICOFR report, the management is unable to rely on automated controls related to financial reporting in the accounting software, and consequently, we are unable to comment on audit trail requirements of said software as envisaged. Fine. Now the written representations part. So written representations, first of all, there are two terms. So let's not get confused with two terms. Sometimes we'll call it MRL. Management representation letter. Some call it written representations. So that's one of the same thing. Written representation from management or a management representation letter. Okay, management, whether you proceed it or whether you succeed, that depends. I have a request to you before I proceed. You see, this science of written representations doesn't exonerate an auditor. If you visit the NAFRA site, you will get a number of illustrations, live illustrations, right? Where the NAFRA authorities have castigated the auditors. Then when they asked the auditors why there is the deficiency, the auditors have said that we are having the representation letter from the management. So they said that is not sufficient, my dear. Why they said so? Let me spend 2-3 minutes on it before I proceed ahead. Though it's not the topic for the day, but because we are discussing the MRL part of it, so I will love to discuss the same with you also. You see, merely having a representation from the management, then you sit at home, take the representation, get it signed, audit is over. I don't think that's the spirit of the audit. And that is not desired by the statute. So what does it mean? Does it mean that we should not take written representations? No, it doesn't mean so. And what it means? That the representations that the management has given, you must take the backup of that representation. If management says, with respect to this audit trail, that we are having IT policy, then well, have you taken the IT policy? Is it in your audit documentation? Secondly, have you gone through the audit trail part of the IT policy? If you have gone through the audit trail part of the IT policy, then ask the management to refer to that particular paragraph of the IT policy where they have discussed the audit trail. Then all this will be a complete cycle. IT policy is there, the relevant paragraph 42, let's assumption sake that that paragraph 42 is there with respect to audit trail, and in the management's written representation, there the management has mentioned that refer para 42 for audit trail of our IT policy, which lays down as follows. And auditor has taken the IT policy in its fold. Then your job is over with respect to this particular representation. So each and every representation is an independent representation and has to be backed up with the proper documents. Then, yes, of course, you can fight the regulators, you can debate the regulators, you can discuss with the regulators very confidently, boldly, and explaining your situation. But the regulators have got all the right to ask you questions. And it's your duty, cast in the regulations of Bharat. There you have to answer. Then these documents, those are there in your audit records. That will help you in answering the questions. So, meaning thereby that without there being the written representation from the management duly backed with the audit records, audit documents, the audit is not complete. It's incomplete audit. Right? Now let's see what is needed. Acknowledging management's responsibility for establishing and maintaining audit controls, adequate controls for identifying, maintaining, controlling, and monitoring of audit trail as per the requirements on a consistent basis. Stating that management has performed an evaluation and assessed the adequacy and effectiveness of the company's procedures. All this has to be mentioned by the management. Then you have to keep the proof of it. Stating management's conclusion as set forth in its assessment about the adequacy and effectiveness of the company's procedures. Stating that management has disclosed to the auditor all deficiencies in the design, if it are there, or the software, the controls are free of deficiencies. Describing instances where identification of fraud, if any, resulting in a material misstatement of the company's financial statement is identified. Stating whether control deficiency identified and communicated with the audit committee in relation to audit trail during previous engagement have been resolved. So whatever reports have been submitted to the various committees, including the audit committee, those reports also you have to go through. See, there are few examples I have taken. The operating effectively during the reporting period. The audit trail is operating effectively. Management will write it. You will keep a proof of it. Audit trail feature was not disabled. Test check basis you have to see. The audit trail software was maintained by third party. The overall software was maintained by the third party. So what precautions the management has taken when the softwares are maintained by third party? So the agreement with the third party. What are the responsibilities of third party? What the third parties are mentioned in the agreement with respect to the audit trail, you have to keep a record of it. The audit trail has been preserved. As I said, that what are the mechanism for saving the records? Migration from one software to the other, if there was any. Then whether proper audit trail is there in the new software to which the company has migrated. So you can keep on adding in it. Audit documentation is almost on the same lines. What it desires, let me sail you through it. A sufficient or appropriate record of basis evidence that audits were planned and performed in accordance with this implementation guide, applicable standards on auditing and applicable legal and regulatory frameworks. In this record, the auditor may comply with the requirement of SA 230 audit documentation to the extent applicable. This SA 230 is of utmost importance. You see, this is basically note with respect to the audit log. So I am skipping these slides because these slides deal with the other audit reports, so that we can take care of at some other time. So yes, this is very important. The ambiguities under Rule 11G with respect to audit trail reporting requirements. What are those? If you remember, when Chairman sir were delivering his the chairman lecture, there he referred to these ambiguities. The rules don't specify the field or data sets for which audit trails are required to be maintained. So I think rules need modification with respect to that, and till that takes place, then your own judgment will be applicable. In relation to a transaction, data would comprise of two types: transactional data, that is accounting date, ledger accounts, narration. Again, you see, I discussed with you occurrence, measurement, recording, disclosure, report. So this is what this line first takes care of. And data pertaining to the transaction, identity of the user accounting the transaction or the time on which the transaction was posted. So this is in relation to a transaction, right? Now, what is the issue? With reference to above, while it is obvious that the user identification and transaction timestamp are necessary fields, it may be possible that other fields such as approval information, user ID of the approver, and timestamp where transaction approved may be required to be logged as a part of the audit trail. Quite possible that the management is so stringent that even they have asked for the approval, and they have dedicated user ID to the approval also. So it can be argued that transactional data does not form part of the audit trail, as the data is recorded in the books of accounts, and replicating this information in the audit trail would not serve any purpose. So the data which is not recorded in the books of accounts, whether that is to be part of audit trail or not. So I have already explained it, that it is very much a part of the audit trail. Whatever data affects the financial statements or the disclosure in the financial statements, and all the softwares that have been used, all those fall within the definition of audit trail. However, since rules are also mandate that audit logs are to be maintained, one could also argue that the audit trail sufficient construct or identify the original data prior to the edit being undertaken. For example, if a transaction is deleted or edited, apart from logging information about who affected the deletion or edit, the audit trail should also include sufficient information to either view or trace the transaction, which I explained you. That nowadays a log is being maintained of the original date. It will come in front of you. the original transaction as well as the digital transaction. That makes the life of the auditor very easy. So very frankly, if it is not there, then you can write in your report, this is your observation. Modification of audit trail. Audit rules stipulate that the auditor should state as to whether the audit trail feature has not been tampered with and the audit trail has been preserved, that we have discussed. It is there in the statute itself. In this regard, there is significant ambiguity on the remit of the word tempered. Agreed. Is the requirement for the auditor to assess whether the accounting software feature to create audit trails has not been tampered with per se, which would entirely include unauthorized modifications to the settings of the audit trail, or whether tampering of the audit trail of transactions per se would also be covered, modification of the audit trail records. So, very frankly, in my opinion, whatever modifications are there should be taken care of, but there is debate with respect to it. Considering that modification to the audit trail would defeat the purpose of maintaining audit trails, it would appear that the reference to tampering would be applicable to both the scenarios stated above. I also agree with it. Audit logs and audit trails. The rules mandate that audit logs are to be maintained. Agreed. The word audit, when used in grammatical context, would mean a change to existing data, and therefore it may be argued that audit logs would be required when an existing transaction has been modified. Now, this is very interesting. However, considering that the account rules refer to an audit log of each change made in books of firm, it can be considered that audit logs would have to be maintained for all the transactions or not with respect to the existing transactions only. So when you are doing audit of 31st March 24, so this will be applicable to the 1st April 23 transaction also, right? So all the transactions that have taken place between 1st April 23 and 31st March 24, the audit trail will be audit logs. All these will be applicable to all the transactions that have taken place during these 365 days. As such, a harmonious reading could be taken in that the terms audit trail and audit logs are synonyms. That's where in the beginning, when I was discussing with you audit trail and audit logs, and audit log and edit log. So I've explained it, but it's ultimately it's the term audit trail. And edit log is part of it. You will get the log of the editing, the changes that have been done. And this is very important because whatever we have discussed, that is with respect to the financial records. Now, what happened to non-financial records? Certain records such as purchase orders, right, or master data of the, let's say, customer base, their GST number, their telephone number, their email ID, they are not transactions as such, at least from an accounting standpoint, absolutely, and maybe relevant from an environment. But these particular informations, the master data, the purchase orders, may be relevant from an investigation standpoint. So we have to see the world from the 2 points, the accounting point and the investigation standpoint. So what's the answer? For example, in the event fraudulent payments are effected through modifications of bank account, audit trails relating to the changes to bank account details would be of significant evidence. Email ID you have changed of the bank account. Mobile number you have changed of the bank account. Now, mobile number and email ID, what it has to do with the balance sheet or profit and loss account or the accounting standard disclosures? Nothing. But still the audit trail is applicable. Still the audit trail will be relevant. So non-financial records are of utmost importance. That's why this slide is there and it's important slide. As such, it is not clear whether the term transactions refers solely to financial transactions per se, or the term has to be broadly interpreted to include non-financial records even, such as purchase or change vendor, which are correlated to financial transactions. That's an opinion. My opinion is that it is applicable. I am leaving the same on the judgment of the viewers and the listeners. My opinion I have given to you. Internal controls. I think this is perhaps last 2-3 slides. In order to demonstrate that the audit trail feature was functional, operated, and was otherwise preserved, a company would have to design and implement specific internal controls, predominantly IT control, which in turn would be audited by the auditors. So as I discussed, now internal control is not confined to stocks, purchase, sales, debtor, creditor, bank. It is applicable to the IT controls also. A company may leverage their existing internal control framework to design internal controls in consultation with their auditors. We will take questions after 5 minutes. An illustrative list of internal controls which may be required to be instituted are articulated below. Controls to ensure that audited feature has not been disabled. We have discussed controls to ensure that access to the context not be restricted. Controls to ensure these are assigned. Controls to ensure that user configuration audit trail are authorized. Controls to ensure that access to the audit trail is disabled or restricted. All these basically are the controls listed in one slide to make it easier for you to understand. And very frankly, a statement with respect to these controls can be added to the written representation also. That will commit the management. And of course, how the management has ensured these controls, those audit document supports you have to keep with you. This is very much clear. Already 128.1 is there. Every company shall prepare and keep its registered office books of accounts. The company may keep such books of account the relevant papers in electronic mode. It is already there. The auditor's report shall state whether, in his opinion, proper books of account as required by law have been kept by the company. So this is already there, and you are well aware of it, and it covers the electronic mode also. The books of accounts and other relevant books and papers shall be retained completely in the format in which they were originally generated. So that is with respect to the electronics records. The statute also comes to your help. So I am thankful to Ma Saraswati for giving me this opportunity. I'm thankful to Institute of Chartered Accountants of India. I'm thankful to all my friends who have spared their time and who have attended this seminar. So Anil Dilalji, can we take the questions?
Thank you so much, sir.
Thank
Can
you.
you hear me, sir? Thank you so much, sir, for enlighten all of us on various aspects of our auditor's responsibilities relating to this audit trail.
Thanks a
Sir,
lot.
I have received certain questions.
Sure.
Sir, first question is, in case of SOC report, which covers only 9 months of the period and includes the audit trail requirements, what should the auditor who rules relies on such SOC report do for balance 3 months for the end audit trail reporting, since we need to report on the facts?
Very nice. It's a good question. This means the gentleman who has raised this question, he must have done some, already he has done some audit on it. So my answer is that with respect to those 3 months, first of all, they will need to write to the previous auditors what they have, how they have taken care of those 3 months, and they will have to answer to get the answer to it. And management's representation will be of immense help in these 3 months. And finally, his own checking he will have to carry for those 3 months.
Yes. So whether the change in the rate of interest in the borrower's loan account falls under the audit trail scope?
You see, as I was just discussing in my last 3 slides, it's a good question that non-financial informations, how to take care of it. So there is debate on it, whether non-financial statements are a part of audit trail or not. But in my opinion, you see the change of interest rate is there in as a feature of software. It's already given in the parameters. Then once that it's given in the parameter, then it affects the financial statements and the information of the accounting world. So definitely it's part of it.
Yes. Sir, what is the responsibility of group auditor if components are audited by other auditors? Group auditor needs to ensure and check audit trail for all components?
No. You see, their duty is to take a certificate from them that they have taken care of the components that were which were assigned to them and which was duty was casted on them. So just a certificate from them will be sufficient.
Yes, sir. Sir, do we need to check audit trail in Excel, SFS, and CFS? If yes, then how, sir? Kindly throw some light, sir.
I explained that to CFS it is applicable. I have given an illustration of the report also, and to the standalone financial statement also, I have given the illustration.
Sir, in
It is applicable.
unforeseen
Just a minute.
yes.
It is applicable to both to make more.
Ji. Ji, sir. Ji, sir. Sir, in case of unforeseen contingencies like system crash or virus attack, what precautions can be taken for safeguarding the audit trail?
This is a very tricky question. You see, first of all, because it has crashed, so now the IT world is there only to rescue us. So how much is the damage? That remains to be seen. And very frankly, it's on the same lines when the fire takes place in the case of physical fire on the physical records, right? So whatever precautions we take when the fire takes place, all those precautions we need to take here also. We will have to depend. We may have to give an adverse report. We may have to give a modified report. Depends on the extent of the damage. So it's a good question and should be taken, should be handled in the same manner when the accounts, physical accounts are damaged.
Yes. Sir, in case of changes made by the client and seen in audit trail, whether auditor has to report the same for changes in those transactions?
Come again?
If in case of changes made by the client and seen in audit trail, whether auditor has to report the same for the changes in those transactions?
Now you see when the changes are there, modification and deletions, if the changes are, as I explained during my deliberation also, changes per se are not wrong if they are justified, if they are reasonable, and you are keeping a track of the changes. But if the management is accustomed to it and it has become a part of the management to keep on changing, then of course you should qualify your report.
Yes.
Ultimately, it's the report which will you have to write.
Sir, what about the very small companies which used to prepare account at one go or periodically? There is no exception. All have to follow now, or there may be exception to very small companies.
There are no exceptions as such with respect to the implementation of audit trail is concerned. No exceptions are there.
And sir, what about if the company doing accounting on yearly basis like most small companies do?
Yeah, that can be. There's no harm in it. No one is stopping them to because if the transactions are so few, then they can. But you see, the vouchers are there or not, and it will depend from the situation to situation and circumstance to circumstance. The question is, can be added also, Anilji. People are having part-time accountants.
Yes, sir.
This was the extreme case where what I am gathering from what you asked is that the accountant has come once in a year. That's an extreme case, but
Yes.
that's a very normal case when the accountant comes once in a month or twice in a month. So that is very much there's no issue with respect to that. And yes, one precaution we are suggesting to our clients, these type of clients, it's my opinion, right? That cash book, the day book with respect to cash transactions should be maintained on the daily basis. Because rest are the JV and the bank vouchers for which the parallel records are there, parallel transaction, parallel documents are there. So those can be passed once in a week or twice in a week, right?
Ji.
But for the cash, the daily cash book must be maintained.
Really much. Right. Sir, on the same line, what about the sector? Limited companies, as we have already discussed, who prepares books of accounts at the end of the year, or many companies going GST adjustment entries at the end of the year.
See, very frankly, adjustment word I don't believe in. So I don't want
Yes,
to
sir.
comment on the adjustment word, but rest question I have already answered.
Yes, yes, yes. Sir, what to do in situation where system that we have already taken, sir. Sir, on which date year end provision entry is to be passed on 31st March 2024 for the year 23-24?
This question has nothing to do with the audit trail. Okay, this question is already there for all the audits that we have done till date. Entries are passed on 31st March 24, though the date on which you are passing the entry, that may be June month, that may be July month, depends. But provisional entries have to be passed on 31st March 24. And that will appear in the log also.
Yes. Sir, whether biometric used in recording attendance basis which payroll records are uploaded and the payroll payment is computed, whether this will form part of the books of accounts that need to be an for audit trail?
See, I have already explained it that all these softwares, let's make two part of HR, right? One is the financial figure part of HR software. So that impacts. Now, with respect to biometric, you see, from auditor's point of view, biometric is of importance because only from there you will be able to know whether people are the staff is coming on time or not, whether there are some dummy staff or not. Biometric helps in taking the dummy stack out. So very frankly, audit trail if is it there, then it will be beneficial. If it is not there, then a simple thing can be done, that the EOM can be mentioned in the report.
Yes. So what sort of Excel-based records will fit in the requirement of audit trail? If Excel can be considered as an accounting software?
No, not at all. I think he knows the answer. That's why he has asked the question. Excel cannot be, not at all, sir. Even password protected Excel cannot be. Let me be so forthright.
Okay, sir. So for purchase transaction, is the audit trail of the name of the preparer, checker, recommending person, and authorized person good enough to pass the transactions? Is there a need for approval signature on the purchase base?
See, there is no guidelines with respect to how many layers have to be there with respect to a transaction. It depends on the IT policy of the company, and auditor has to get himself satisfied whether all the audit trail features are there or not. There cannot be set rules that these have to be there. If one user ID is, you see, depends on the number of transactions also. So if there are large number of transactions, then generally the approval mechanism is there. If there are small number of transactions, then I don't think approval mechanism is needed.
Yes. So there is a combination of in-house softwares as well as standard of shelf vendor softwares also. Though we get audit logs from vendors as well as security and business continuity policy of such vendors. So how to deal with this audit trail in that case?
That's good. That's a good question. That when there are a hybrid system of two softwares, you will have to have to cover both the type of softwares in your IT policy. That's my first observation. And second, my reply is that for both you have to maintain the audit trails, and auditor job will be little complicated in this case because he will have to take care of how both the softwares are. What is the protocol between those two softwares? How they are talking to each other? So a little bit knowledge of IT world will be needed when there are two type of softwares.
Yes.
It will be complicated audit.
Sir, in bank reconciliation, if date of check clear updated later on, same shown as alteration in the entry of audit trail, whether auditor required to report the same?
No, you see, it's a very specific question and can be answered only when the situation is given on the banking transaction. The alteration, I am not able to understand what exactly it means, because you see, if you have passed an entry on, let's say, 29th June and the check gets cleared on 10th of August, how it matters? Because you have already given a check. So why they have made the changes in the books without understanding the illustration, I cannot answer it.
Yes. So last question. So in case of sales on approval basis, there are chances of changing sales record. In that scenario, how to approach? What should be the approach should be in that case?
You see, audit trail has nothing to do with it. Very frankly speaking, first of all, we need to robust the system of sales approval, sales on approval basis. What are the SOP for sales on approval? So the auditor has to conduct the audit of sales of approval system itself. Once the system of sales approval is robust, then it has to be aligned with the audit trail. So both are different things, and both have to be taken care of.
So last one more question pop up.
No,
One
I'm
member
very
is
happy,
asking-
Anandi, that first of all, I will like to congratulate you and the AASP that people are very much interested in this topic. right?
Yes, sir. Yes,
And
yes.
before I go to the last question, my request to you is that this is very practical topic, very frankly speaking.
Yes, yes, sir.
It has nothing to do with the book or the statute. It will take you to the, that's why my first slide was the world of audit, right? There are 5 terms that I have used: occurrence, measurement, recording, disclosure, and reporting. So
Yes, sir.
basically, audit trail has much to do with these 5 terms. So I am placing my appreciation on record for you and the AASP.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir.
Now
More
you
than
can.
2,500 members are live, sir,
How many?
for this. 2,500 members.
That's good. Just
Yes,
congratulations
yes,
to you.
yes, yes. Sir, last question is, do we have any kindly suggest or put throw light on some checklist of the data need to be collected to verify compliance with respect to the audit trail? What we need to check while this?
Okay,
This.
that's a good question. That's a good question. You see, I just want for my information. I want to ask you a simple observation I need from you. This presentation is available to the viewers.
Sir, this whole recording will be available.
So this presentation will also be available to them.
Yes, sir. Yes, yes.
Okay.
Indirect.
Then answer to the question is that I have already covered in my various slides, though there is no one slide for the checklist. Yes, a good example. Next time I will try to consolidate all the slides in the
Yes, yes,
in the last.
yes.
But if you pick up my 5 or 6 slides, then all this checklist can be very well prepared out of it. Number 1. Number 2, as Honorable Chairman have just mentioned in his lecture, that the institute will be coming out with a book on the FAQs. So I am sure that they will also bring a checklist.
Yes. So thank you so much, sir. Now we come to an end. On behalf of AASB of ICI, we extend our heartiest thanks towards you for sparing your valuable time and enlighten all of us and sharing your knowledge and expertise. You are always aware, sir. Hats off to you, sir. And sincere thanks to you, sir. Whenever I approach you for any of the lecture, you always give your kind consent, sir, for the cause of the profession and for all our members, sir. Thank you so much, sir. Sir, at present, 262655 members are here, sir, for your lecture. So thank you so much, sir, for your kind deliberation, sir.
Thanks a lot.
Thank you,
I am so thankful to you. I am thankful to Sanjeev Saab, Vishalji, and AASP, all their members, Institute of Chartered Accountants of India, and all my dear friends and brothers and sisters who have joined.
Yes.
To all of you for this audit in the new regime of audit trail. All the best to all.
Yes. Thank you so much, sir. Thank you so much, sir. Namaste.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.